Hello, good morning, America. Good afternoon, England, and good evening, Australia, if that's where you are right now. And thank you very much for joining today. I'm going to be doing a chat and a live Q&A with my friend Max Helmer. We've been friends now for quite a while. He actually introduced himself to me a little while back, and we sort of had a few collaborations since then, talking about like diet, training, exercise, all that sort of stuff. And we found we had quite a lot in common. And Max's background is quite a bit different to a lot of people. He's he's not an old man by any means, but he's a little bit older than me. And what we find is he's managed to still build a very lean, athletic body. Considering where he started from, he's done a great job. And honestly, I want to sort of share and feature people on my channel for sure that are kind of showing themselves as a good representation of what someone can achieve. And anyway, over to you, Max. So if you want to feel free to expand upon whatever I said, like where your background is, where you're at right now, and perhaps go into like your diet and things like that. Max, you might be muted, by the way.
There we go.
You, but
Help, huh?
I hear you. We'll carry on. Face palm.
Yeah, exactly. Face palm. I would say so. I've always been like active. I mean, I'm from San Diego, so the sports I played in high school were I swam and I played water polo. Those are big sports in Southern California in general. And then always worked out in college all the way through. Kind of always, I never really got the diet nailed down. It was always like eat whatever you want in college, drink beer, party, go to the gym. That was kind of the rotation in college. Diet, you never even really gave a thought. And then when I was a little bit older, I came across CrossFit. That's really where I was introduced to compound lifts, powerlifting, right? Deadlifts, squats, standing shoulder press. I was introduced to Olympic lifting. I was introduced to things like kettlebells. And I was thinking about this the other day. You know, I think CrossFit gets a little bit of a bad name, and rightfully so. It's kind of like luck of the draw, because if you want to start working out and doing CrossFit, and you Google the closest CrossFit gym to your house and you go there, sometimes the trainers are good, sometimes the trainers are bad. You know what I mean? And luckily, when I got into it, I found a gym that where the trainers are really, really good. And so I learned all the foundational movements. And then I think that I was thinking about this too the other day. I think CrossFit, even though I kind of do some CrossFit now, I think the beauty of CrossFit is it introduces you to a bunch of different things, right? And the nice part about that is if you get bored, or you've been doing CrossFit for a long time, like myself, if you get bored of a training program, you can implement a completely different type of protocol. Like if I think to myself, like, man, you know, I'm kind of sick of the barbell, I can just get into kettlebells and say, okay, I can do kettlebell cleans and snatches and presses. So I just thought CrossFit was really cool at the time when I first got into it, because there's a multitude of different movements and it's really hard to get exceptionally perfect at all of them. I think the whole point of CrossFit is to become good at a wide variety of movements. And yeah, that's kind of like how I've trained. And then basically what happened to me as I got out of CrossFit, I used to own a gym. I used to train people. So I used to train kids. I used to teach kids how to lift weights. I used to teach high school athletes how to lift weights. And I used to teach 70-year-old women, 80-year-old men how to lift weights. I had clients that had like one arm and stuff, and I would make him do burpees and one arm push-ups against a wall and stuff, and teach him how to use his body functionally and all that good stuff. But basically, like what happened to me was when I got out of CrossFit, I got into sales, and I put the career in making money first. I got married. I had 2 kids. And what happened was, because I was putting my career in making money above my health, I got fat. I got really fat. And what was interesting was I used to be the really in shape CrossFit trainer that owned the gym. And basically what happened was I turned into my client. And I was kind of embarrassed, to be honest with you. I was kind of ashamed. But that's when I kind of that's when I really started going on the diet journey, right? Because what I started to realize, because by now I was in my 30s, what I started to realize was, like when I was in college, I cannot outwork a bad diet anymore. In college, you can kind of get away with it. When you get into your 30s, you cannot outwork a bad diet and lifestyle. That's 100% a fact. So I started listening to podcasts, started hearing more and more. And this was in like 2017, 2018. I started coming across, like the first podcast I ever came across was Abel James, Fat Burning Man. So I want to give that guy a shout out, because I actually met him a handful of weeks ago. And I told him, I was like, when I started going on my health journey, you were the first podcast I ever listened to. Now I do podcasts. I just want to thank you. It was actually a really cool interaction. I met him down here in Austin. But then I started coming across ketogenic diets, carnivore diets, fasting, and all those types of things. And that's when my body really started to change, like my body, my mind, my entire body composition. And that's when I realized working out is not the most important thing. Your diet is 1,000%. Diet, in my opinion, it's 95% of the equation. And what I started to believe and what I started to find very true was diets are tools. I really think diets are tools. You can leverage different low carb diets, ketogenic diets, different styles of carnivore, different types of fasting. You can leverage different diets to get different effects, right? Different looks, right? And so, in my opinion, I think there's a time and a place for OMAD, for fasting. I think there's a time and place for eating multiple meals a day. And if you're trying to gain weight, right? Like Robert Sykes will tell you this, Greg Mahler, the guys that are over at Keto Brick, right? If you're lowering your carbs, fat is your fuel source. If you're trying to bulk, you got to eat a lot of fat. If you're trying to cut, you're pulling the fat back. That's the energy source, right? And so I just started to play around with these different diets, and I realized different styles of low carb diets give you different effects. And that's where I came up. That's why I really think diets are tools. And then ever since then, I just kept on going. I kept on playing around with them. And I go through bulk phases. I go through cut phases. I go through phases where I try to get stronger. So I change the diet. I'll go through my summertime phase, which I'm doing right now, where I go on a strict carnivore diet, and that's my lean out. And so I leverage different diets periodically throughout the year based upon my training, what I'm trying to do. Sometimes I'm trying to get stronger. I got to eat more. And I'm about to go into that phase right now, and we can talk about that. But as I'm trying to put on more mass or trying to get a little bit stronger, I'm going to naturally have to eat more food. And right now I'm trying to stay lean because it's summertime. I'm naturally eating more of a strict carnivore diet, a little bit more higher protein, a little bit more moderate fat, so I can maintain leanness. And then once summer's out, I'm going to switch things around. So that's kind of like my philosophy on things. I think low carb is, and we could talk about this, I think low carb is the easiest way to eat to maintain body weight, metabolic health, and even lose fat. And I've talked about this on other podcasts before. And I've gotten shat on in the comments. The more carbs you eat, here's my take. I'd love to hear your opinion on this, Jonathan. The more carbs that are in your diet, the more carbs you eat, the more frequently you are going to be hungry. Therefore, it makes dieting, especially if you're trying to get lean, it makes dieting harder. You're going to have to white knuckle that diet the more carbs you have in your diet. The fewer carbs you have in your diet, the fewer blood sugar spikes you have. You can maintain a steady insulin, right? And it's going to be easier to stay in a calorie deficit the lower the carb. That's kind of that's my philosophy. And people, the calorie counters will jump in the comments and say it doesn't matter. You know, if you want to gain weight, you got to be in a calorie surplus, which I don't disagree. I don't disagree with any of this. Right? If you're trying to gain weight, you got to be in a calorie surplus. If you're trying to lose weight, you got to be in a calorie deficit. I agree. My point here is it's a lot easier for the general population to lose weight and stay in a calorie deficit if the carbs are lower or almost zero, because you're satiated, you keep your blood sugar down, you're satiated, you can go longer between meals, and therefore you stay in a calorie deficit longer. by default, it's easier to lose weight without the carbs. If you've got more carbs in your diet, like a traditional bodybuilder that's eating 6 meals a day, right? And they've got carbs in the diet, they are constantly hungry throughout the day, right? They are constantly thinking about food because their blood sugar is going up and down like that. That's why, but traditional bodybuilders, bikini competitors, they're able to do that. Why? Because they are the most disciplined people on planet Earth. They are the best bodybuilders, are the best dieters on planet Earth, without a doubt. But for the general population that's trying to lose weight, take the carbs out of the diet. It will be a lot. You don't have to white knuckle through that diet. It's a lot easier to stay in a calorie deficit because you're just not as hungry. Spiel over. I'm done.
That's a mic drop moment, that is. There you go, guys. Max has got it sussed out. It shows with his physique. You can't see on screen right now, but he's very lean, muscular. Oh, there we go. You know, he's a lean, muscular guy with a very good aesthetic look. So a lot of men out there would be glad and, you know, appreciate to have that sort of physique. So what you're doing is obviously right. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself when you said about how it's easy to adhere to a lower carbohydrate or zero carb diet. I've had the same experience. When I was dieting in the past, it'd be 6 meals a day and I'd still be hungry for 7th. Now it's like, you know, I don't really get hungry in the sense that my stomach doesn't really growl. Like if I'm very lean, like maybe 1 week out, 2 weeks out. But I do feel hungry for energy. Like if I see I cut some butter, I'm like, if I ate just that bit of butter, I feel better. But the thing is, when you've got that low body fat, you don't feel good until your body fat is higher. You just don't. You'll feel good immediately from like the dopamine, you know, you get a treat sort of thing. But outside of that, it doesn't really carry over. So yeah, I'd strongly, well, I know for myself that low carbohydrate sort of methodology for losing body fat is easy to adhere to, more effective, eat more sustainable as well. And I'm yet to be proven or seen otherwise. Another thing he said as well was about
go ahead.
That's in terms of like a calorie surplus and calorie deficit. And obviously we don't use calories, we use food grams, macros to sort of measure food intake.
Sure, I was just using
some
the
of the
term
audience
because,
want that. Yeah. Some of the audience want that sort of terminology, but Max here is obviously trying to make things accessible for everyone. So if they've not got a typical carnivore muscle subscriber or member level of knowledge and insight, then you know they probably won't understand that. But there's more videos on my channel which are under the playlist calories in, calories out. In terms of like the surplus and deficit, in terms of you have a rough maintenance in your intake in your diet each day, it will average out over a period of time. It's not going to be the same every day, but you can work out, okay, I eat, for example, I don't know, some might say I eat a pound of meat a day, 6 eggs and 4 rashers of bacon. 3 different food items, about the same weight every time, you know, pound of meat sort of thing. But what they might find is that's their maintenance over time. So their weight might be stable, which is quite a good hard thing to achieve, especially with today's society with all the processed foods. But what I'd say is most people can sort of benefit in terms of building muscularity on about a 10% surplus, namely or mostly coming from fat, because that is a fuel substrate. The protein should be at a rate which is maximized anyway. With my clients, people I work with, I do tend to keep our protein an elevated amount deliberately. It forces adherence to much better, and there's science to prove that as well. In terms of the fat deficits, as if want someone to lose body fat, so not gain muscle probably much at all to any appreciable degree. I'd say go up to about maybe like a minus 30% intake. So as an example, if you're eating, again, loose terminology just for people to think about it in a very simple sense. Say you're eating 2,000 calories a day. Your surplus to build muscle might be 2,200, with the sort of macro suggestions I suggested in regards to leveraging the fat as the main lever. And in terms of like losing body fat, it might look like 1,400, you know, supposed calories. That would be about as low as they'd probably go down to. The problem I have people have is they don't let the body recompartmentalize the mass of the food they're taking into, you know, muscle, meat, and muscle tissue, and fat in the body. They don't give it that time, so they'll go, I'm overweight, I'm going to go from 2,000 to 1,400. That's not a good idea, because a lot of people will find, okay, maybe you lose too much weight initially. You've got an automatic, quick sort of rebound effect where your baseline your neat energy. So your daily output, that is over the course of an average day, moving your hands, walking, standing up, sort of thing. Your
Non-exercise.
background movements, non-exercise. That's one. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might find your NEAT decreases faster. You won't be able to sleep as well. Your body just does all the opposite things that you don't want it to do. So what you do is you gradually lower the fat. The muscle that you can gain is very limited anyway. So we've seen in a lot of studies is past 10, 15, maybe 20% surplus. You're just gaining body fat and you don't gain muscle faster. But what I know you will know, and I certainly know, you can gain, I don't know, say 10 pounds of muscle in a year, maybe, if you're lucky. But how much fat can you lose in a year? So if you redline your muscle mass gains, your bulking phase, 10 pounds. But if you redline your fat loss, Max, say you're 400 pounds, in a year, you could quite handily be dropping, I don't know, 120 pounds.
You could drop 100 pounds easily if you're that heavy. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So that's why the deficit can be 30%, but the surplus can be 10, because you've got a rate limiting factor, but the fat loss rate limiting factor is a lot greater, a lot wider. So it takes longer to sort of stop losing body fat or get diminishing returns. But what do you think about that, and how would you manipulate your diet for building muscle or losing body fat?
Well, I was just going to bring this up. Here's the tricky part for me when it comes to eating more of like an animal-based diet, a carnivore diet, right? So if right now, as we are going into fall and we're going into wintertime, right? Summer is basically ending. I'm going to be going through a strength training program, right? And I was showing you this book a little bit earlier, The Purposeful Primitive, right? For anyone that wants like a really good book on getting stronger and building, the guy that wrote this book is Marty Gallagher. I'm actually getting him on the podcast at the end of September. He's coming on. He wrote the book. Like he's worked with like Dorian Yates, some of the strongest people in the world, right? For me, the hardest problem eating carnivore is gaining weight. It's hard. Why? Because I'm so damn full all the time, right? So that's where I might have to strategically, just to help myself eat more, that's where I might strategically bring in some carbohydrates to help with my appetite. And before people freak out, I don't bring in a lot of carbohydrate. I will bring in carbohydrate, maybe 50 grams a day, every other day.
But why don't you do it like Paul Saladino?
What do I think of him?
Why don't you do it like Paul Saladino? 400 grams.
No, that's too much. I feel like that's too much. My body, like, I don't need that many carbohydrates. It's like 50 grams of carbs every other day from a whole food source. That's how I do it. And it helps me to eat more food. Therefore, I can put down the calories I need to put down. But if I'm eating like I'm eating right now, a relatively like zero carb, essentially carnivore diet, it's very hard for me to put on weight because I'm too full. I can't put down the food. But I notice is if I bring in a little bit of carbs, 50 grams every other day, I'm able to eat more food and I'm able to put on the mass and increase my strength numbers in the gym. But here's the thing, and I would love to get your opinion on this. I don't think that, and again, I understand we're all different. We're all individual, right? I don't think we need to eat as many carbohydrates as Paul Saladino. I just don't think we need, I don't think, and it 100% depends on the individual, the activity level of the individual. But even for people like Andrew Kutnick, Dr. Andrew Kutnick, who's been on the podcast, did studies on this. We don't need the amount of carbohydrates we think we need for like endurance activities. These guys are basically way over consuming carbohydrates during athletic endeavors. And what they're doing is they're putting themselves, even though they're relatively lean people, they're putting themselves in pre-diabetic ranges, right? A lot of these Ironmen are coming out and they're pre-diabetic, right? Even though they're lean and they have legitimate body weights, body fat percentages, and all those types of things. I just don't think we need as many carbs. If you're going to bring in carbs through a strength phase, I just don't think it's as many carbs. I think you could get away with, for me personally, I can get away with 50 grams of carbs from a whole food source every other day, like sweet potatoes. That's it, But that works for me just because carnivore just keeps me so damn full that I can't put the calories down that I need to put on the mass. So bringing in a little carbs just helps me to eat more. That's just how my body works.
Yeah, I can see how it makes sense. Sorry, I was just fiddling with something in the live chat.
Yeah.
My screen is very far from me. That's why I'm sort of messing around. But yeah, I think there's. I mean, anyone that's done carnivore for a while, then they've done low carb. They might have done high carb diets in the past. They find any sort of benefit they get from the carbs. It's not like a degree of hundreds of grams. We're talking like half a cup of rice, like after the
Yeah.
workout, or a banana and an apple sort of thing. Like just trivial amounts that isn't going to sort of break the bank, so to speak.
No.
So that's been my experience with people, even people that are like diligent carnivores. They say, yeah, not much more than like 50 grams or so to get any benefit, if there is benefit. And obviously you've got the dopamine signaling response from carbohydrates, so that maybe that makes you feel better. Maybe it means your sleep's better, your recovery's better. Maybe you're just someone that doesn't convert protein and and I guess you say fat and non-energy food substrates into glucose very efficiently. Maybe your gluconeogenic pathway is a bit knackered, sort of thing. So there's no way to really know. But subjectively, if you find it benefits you, yeah, you're going to do it. I mean, who's going to shoot you for saying, oh, I eat, I don't know, a few grapes every day and I don't know, an apple and a few bananas and maybe a tablespoon of butter in your coffee, or not butter, honey or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a massive problem. But
yeah.
I'm just going to put a poll out, and I think it should be out to public now. So there's a poll on the screen, guys. How many carbs do you have a day? And that's what we want to know. So below about 50, so that could mean 0. It could mean 50.
Paul Saladino, 400 grams.
Paul Saladino, 400 grams plus. Yeah, there we go. So let us know in the poll, guys. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. By the way, we're still going to carry on.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with Paul. Like, obviously, Paul is very dialed in, and he does blood work consistently. Here's what I would say, just on the Paul Saladino thing. Technically, who are we to say whatever he is doing is wrong for him, right? Like, that level of carbohydrates that he's eating, that might work well for him based off what he sees through his blood work, what he sees through his daily energy that he's got, through his sleep, through his testosterone, through all of his markers. That might work for him. I just don't think, here's I think the whole trick people need to understand. You have to be comfortable experimenting and to find what works for you. You know what I mean? And that level of carbohydrate might work well for him. That level of carbohydrate would not work well for me. And I don't know about you. You know what I mean? So I think the whole thing here is people need to be comfortable. Like this game that we're playing, this body composition game, this increasing mass game, keeping our fat percentage at a decently low rate throughout the year. It takes a lot of experimentation. It does. And you got to be comfortable experimenting. It's a long game. It's a life game. Like I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to get the perfect body. I'm never going to find the perfect scenario. It's always going to be experimenting to see what works, what doesn't work. And I think some people need to get comfortable coming to terms with that. And the problem is, I don't think a lot of people want to come to terms with that. They want to find the diet. They want to find that one magical diet that they can eat for the rest of their life. But the problem is their body is constantly seeking to find homeostasis, right? You will naturally plateau at some point. You got to be comfortable changing some things up based off your activity, what you're doing, your personal life, your work. All those things matter, right?
Yeah, I mean, people ask you every day, like, what's your diet, Jonathan? I'm like, I can tell you, but it will change tomorrow a bit. It might be a pound of chicken rather than a pound of lean beef. It's going to be, so I can only give people like, I eat this many eggs, usually this much fish, this much meat, I don't know, this much butter. But then it might change because as a bodybuilder, like you said, the program is always changing because the goalposts can sometimes change, but the way you're going to get there is not a straightforward, linear sort of trend line in terms of progression. Just want to say thank you to Jerry, who's very kind enough to finish her chat early today on her live stream, so she could join mine and listen to me ramble with my good friend Max here. So thank you very much for joining the membership. Just so everyone knows, memberships on my channel are very affordable. and you can access a lot of brand new sort of shorts, clips, a documentary, all sorts of stuff on my channel, which is very unique, which you'll find quite useful. But that's why I recommend checking it all out. We've got Rick in the house. You know Rick, I'm sure. 42 year carnivore.
He says, I have no idea how many carbohydrates I consume from meat and dairy.
Yeah. Rick, if you take a photo of all your food one day, I'll try and work it out for you. Be quite interested to see, and like just a typical day that you'd normally do, you know. Where are we at? Have we got any questions yet? So, thank you everyone for joining. Like I said, by the way, hello to everyone. I'm not very good at saying hello to everyone.
How many people are in here, Jonathan?
We had about 17 a second ago. Yeah, not too bad. Mighty Manoir said, as someone who is new to lifting weights, do you recommend lifting to failure or doing sets and reps?
That's a
same
good
way
question.
I said when on a live stream with you before, actually, that you were listening to. Basically, I personally count time, not reps and not sets really. Obviously, I have a set, like I'll do an amount of exercises in succession for a certain body part or group of muscle groups, so for sure, yeah. I prefer someone who's beginning to do more sets to a lower degree of effort. Then over time, increase the effort, and you'll find that you'll end up doing less sets. But each set, say it's worth maybe 5 out of 10 when you begin. By the time you're doing what I sort of do, or maybe Max does, like max effort, as many as you can sort of thing, you'll be at a 9 out of 10. So your results should increase in relationship to the skill level that you have with training. So if that's a bit all over your head, so I know the terminology can sometimes be a bit tricky. Do maybe 2 sets per body part, maybe 3 times per week, maybe full body, so all of the muscle groups of your body. Maybe do it in a circuit fashion. Just find a way to sort of do each thing about twice. So each sort of, like maybe 2 for your back, maybe 2 for your chest, 2 for your legs, or 2 for your hamstrings, maybe something like that. But yeah, if you're really desperate, I can create you a little program for you. Just reach out to me on WhatsApp or something through the corner. In terms of weights, I mean, it's relative. You've just got to find what works for you, really. Start lower, but build it up. But don't be one of those people like what has happened recently online, where someone got called out for calling for someone else not trying very hard with what they're doing. I don't know if you guys watched that video. Yeah,
I'm not familiar with it. Like like someone commented and says you're not like your intensity's not high enough.
Essentially, yes. So someone made a video in response to someone's diet and exercise. The person that the video is about didn't obviously like it. Yeah, there's a whole, yeah, I'll feel good another time. But it's all good fun now. It's all sort of water under the bridge. But yeah, do you have a take on that at all? Like what you would do, like an average beginner in the gym, like what recommendations or ballparks you suggest people fit into?
So I think this is a really, really good question, right? Because she says, as someone who is new to lifting weights, what do you recommend? Lifting to failure or doing sets and reps? So what's interesting is I think there's also a handful of other components that go into this, right? And you were talking about wanting to get Fred Hahn on, right? If we had Fred Hahn on, what do you think he would say, right? It would be one all-out set, time under tension, go to failure, right? But so I think there's a couple things here. It also depends on how much time do you have, right? How many days a week are you working out? Does the current gym plan that you have work well and mesh well into your daily, weekly life? I think those things matter too. So a lot of that's going to be individual. But if you're new to lifting weights, I would take the safer approach first. Start with like lighter weights. And depending on the exercise, you can go to failure, depending on the exercise, right? Like safe exercises to go to failure are like an assisted pull-up, right? If you're doing the assisted pull-up machine, you can go to failure because there's not really any risk of, dropping a barbell on your head or, overexerting yourself where you're putting yourself in a compromising position. But if you're a seasoned weightlifter and you're back squatting and you have safety spotters where you can fail and you've been lifting for years, you can go to failure, right? You can go to failure if you're a seasoned back squatter. But I think it depends on the movement. 100% it depends on the movement. Like if you're doing lat pull downs, You can go to failure on lat pull downs, right? If you're doing assisted dips, you can go to failure on assisted dips. It just depends on the exercise. But personally, I think that if you're not taking the muscle to failure, whether you're doing it with reps or whether you're doing it with time under tension, the way that you work out, Jonathan, you're not gonna send the correct stimulus to the muscle. You have to put the muscle under duress, whether you're doing a ton of reps or whether you're doing like 5 very, very slow reps. You have to send the message to the muscle group that says you have to adapt. So I try to go to failure on most exercises that are safe to. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's my kind of goal as well. And you made a really good nuanced point. This is a golden nugget here for Juliet Edens, who's listening in. What Max said was that he can train to a high degree of intensity for a lot of body parts, but there's certain exercises basically which are more aligned with training to the highest intensity versus those that are not. It's a key point. So when I say to people, you should train to technical muscular failure is relative to the exercise itself. It might mean that I don't know, technical muscular failure doing assisted dips, although Max has pointed out that it's a relatively safe exercise. If you're at the bottom of the machine, you've not got a way to sort of push yourself back up in a compromised position. There's some movements can actually be very safe in the grand scheme of things, but if you go to true technical muscular failure and you're in a compromised position when you end that set, that's where it could be dangerous. So, like for example, the squatting. So I know but like the squatting, you can go as hard as you can. If the safety spot bars aren't at the right level and they're too low, you're gonna have to roll it off your back. So with all these things, you have to make tiny little adjustments. So that's why having a coach, having a trainer, checking out Max's stuff on Instagram, he's got a great page there. He'll show you how to exercise hard and safely. So I recommend checking that out as well. But Mighty Manuel, if you send me a message in private, I'll happily write something out. If you let me know what equipment you have, I'll give you a little sort of like sampler so you can at least follow something in the gym. That's going to be better than nothing. And it seems to be working all right for me. But I want to get to the next bit, which is just on. So I'm just reading a little side bit here. Rick said, I've no idea how many carbohydrates I consume from dairy. No, he wouldn't. Rick, if you send me an email or something we've written down, something I can look at, you have to look. But yeah, see, he'll pick fruits that's seasonal around him if he has it. He doesn't always like it, and he's quite fussy about fruit. He's not the biggest fan. There's probably some things, I think maybe he has plantain, maybe, whatever he grows in his garden. He's got a very meat and dairy heavy focused diet, but yeah, I'm surprised you haven't heard of him. Very surprised.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I would love to grow my own fruits and vegetables, man. That's the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Keep it local and keep it seasonal. Just the way human beings were designed to eat them.
Yeah, that's right.
If you eat them.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm still sorry. I'm a bit slow at this button pressing, guys, because my screen's so far away from me. Like seeing a written message that is perfectly written is so hard. Anyway, we got up to. I got a question, so please feel free to ask questions while we're here, guys. Max has given up his very valuable time this morning, away from his wife and family. So.
No, it's all good.
It's all good.
So should we answer this next question?
Yeah, let's go for it. So Jerry asked, gentlemen, give me your honest opinion of the Dr. Boz ratio and all the numbers. Confusing. If you're familiar with that one.
Well, I'm familiar with Dr. Boz for sure, but I don't remember off the top of my head her exact ratio. Jerry, can you type in the ratio that she prefers / recommends?
Yeah, so what they're referring to, guys, is glucose and ketone monitor ratio. Basically, there's like an axis, like a formula sort of thing. It's probably very obvious to some people. I can't remember what it is.
Are you referring to, Jonathan, are you referring to like a glucose ketone index like Professor Thomas Seyfried talks about? Is that what you're getting at?
I think it's similar or the same. Yeah, could be wrong. Basically, it's this ratio of certain things in the body that do certain things at a certain time. I think it's a waste of time because you're trying to look at an arbitrary number and indices of health through something which is like measurements of something else which does show health.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So it's like if you got too much blood glucose all the time, there's more AGEs. You know, you have to deal with more peroxidation of cells. So that's not going to be ideal, really, is it? The other thing is like the ketones. They're, as I said before, they're a transient number which change all the time, much like glucose, but much greater degree. So I could wear a keto monitor, stand in the shower, it'll be quite high, maybe 3 units, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Come out of it, and it's gone to 0.5 again. So that's how useful they are. They're affected by temperature, and the more fat adapted you are over time, the less ketones will actually be showing in your blood because they're being utilized by the brain and the body. There's just so many faults with it that I just think is like, I think the only rational reason why someone would count ketones is to kind of say, oh, I'm going into ketosis from a standard American diet. Just give them that like self-motivation, like that reinforcement. Oh, my body's doing something. That's, you know, helps sort of people have a guideline. But aside of that, I mean, once you've been doing this for a while, you don't need to be checking these things, and it can be highly genetic as well. I mean, have you ever sort of tested ketones or?
Well, here's the other thing too, right? If you're fat adapted for long enough, your ketones are naturally going to become lower over time. Like if you are brand new, if you eat a standard American diet and you start eating carnivore or a ketogenic diet, like you can get into ketosis like within a handful of days, and your ketones are probably going to be relatively high. But over time, as your body starts using that energy as a fuel source, your ketones are naturally going to be lower. Like that's what happens. Taking glucose divided by ketones.
Okay, so in your American units, it'd be like 80 divided by, say, I had two. So my Dr. Bodge ratio would be 40. But that's not where they're like. So if I actually use my numbers that I have checked in the past, historically, just a long time ago, probably 80 divided by. I might count this now. If you want to carry on just chatting about something.
No, well, it's interesting. Like, so it kind of depends on if you're talking about a glucose ketone index and getting that number like as low as possible. Typically, you're doing that. A lot of people are doing that for like metabolic health reasons, like cancer, right? If you've got cancer, you want to get the glucose ketone index low. And what's funny is, so I've had I've had Professor Thomas Seyfried on the podcast, and I've also had, are you familiar with Daniel Orrego, Jonathan?
Yeah, I recognize the name. I've seen like one video, I think.
So he was on Mark Bell's Power Project like years ago. He was on Mark Bell's Power Project. So he basically runs like a metabolic health institute where they implement Professor Thomas Seyfried's press pulse for like cancer patients and things like that. And what he was saying was interesting. And basically he was saying, you should basically eat whatever diet gets your number as low as possible on that glucose ketone index. So if it's carnivore diet, great. If it's a medical grade, traditional ketogenic diet, that's great. Even if you are like a vegan and you don't eat meat, whatever formulation of macronutrients gets your glucose ketone index low, and that as low as possible, that's what would put the most pressure on cancer cells. That's what he was saying. And I thought that was really interesting because, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, you know, if I get cancer, I'm just going to eat a ketogenic diet and incorporate some fasting. Well, that doesn't necessarily work, right? It's much more strategic than that. You've got to make sure, you've got to become like a CEO of your numbers if you're trying to implement a ketogenic diet and metabolic therapy for cancer purposes. So that podcast I did with him should be going live in a month, but he worked alongside like Dominic D'Agostino, Dr. Andrew Kutnick, Professor Seyfried. And so he runs Professor Seyfried's metabolic therapies for people that have cancer and tumors and they're trying to like live longer and stuff. But he was saying, you got to basically do whatever diet you possibly can to get those glucose ketone numbers in the range that puts enough pressure on a cancer cell. It was super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've not watched enough of his stuff really. It's not because I'm not interested in it, but you know, when you just get wrapped up in your own sort of usual podcasts,
Yeah.
I probably need to look
There's
outside of the
so much
box a
stuff
little
out
bit. Like,
there. There's almost too
I'm,
much. There's too much information out
yeah,
there.
yeah, that's the problem, really. Because obviously, I want to be a very multifaceted person, like have a lot of skills, so understanding lots of different things. But I'm not paying my due diligence here, obviously, if I don't know much about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I found out some faults about the ketone stuff. So, firstly, there's no validated autophagy zone. There's not like oh, you've got this ratio, therefore you're in this state of healing.
Mm,
That's not a supported claim. Um, there might be a loose association, but the thing is, it's not been used in a scientific setting when it could very easily be. So therefore, I think, yeah, what use is that? What you do is you'd have your Dr. Bodge ratio people. And what you do is you put them, stick all these tests and blood things and stab all these people with cancer. Then what happens from after a year or whatever period of time? How many of them had this level of ketones? How many had this? You might find something. I think it's not so much the gradient of ketosis; it's more the fact of just having ketogenic state at some point. So being low carb by default is probably enough. I think the idea that deeper ketosis means more healing. I think it's not. It's a diminishing returns thing, like a bell curve sort of thing, where it just sort of evens off. So and that's going to be individual for everyone.
yeah,
If my
exactly.
ancestral heritage was Inuit, maybe I'd have to have a higher level of ketones to get that healing benefit. But I think it's very loose science, in my opinion. It confuses obviously the fuel availability with the utilization. So just ketones are high in your body or this is high in your body doesn't mean you're not utilizing it. I mean, Max, if you go for a run right now, your glucose will go right up afterwards.
Yeah.
It's trying to find a way just to quickly shunt energy from the sorry, shunt glucose from the liver and put it into the blood quickly. So you know, oh, I might be still running in 10 minutes time, so I better put more in just to super compensate. So that's why the body does that. So all these little mini factors sort of impact the fact that you can't find a reliable amount of ketones in the blood. And if you do, you have to be in a metabolic ward chamber, sat in the same thing all day, every day, and notice exact patterns of what you're doing in response to
Yeah.
meal timing. Stress as well, cortisol. Um, Expensive. It creates a lot of anxiety as well. You know, I say that as one of the most tested, measured men in the world, sort of thing. You know, carnivore, autistic, bodybuilder, all these health problems. So I want to know what does and doesn't work.
Well, and
Um,
just in regards to the question that's on the screen, right? Dr. Boz says
yeah,
that the lower the ratio, the deeper you are in ketosis. Deeper ketosis equals more healing, which I don't disagree, but I think that's also nuance. It's like
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like depending on what you are trying to heal, right? Depending on what you're dealing with, are you dealing with cancer? Are you dealing with like cognitive issues like ADD, ADHD, depression? I feel like different levels of ketosis are necessary to hit or get into, depending on what you're ultimately trying to fix. That so it's like again, that's why I say diets are tools, and you leverage different diets for very specific outcomes. And so if I was trying to get into deeper ketosis or I was trying to help someone get into deeper ketosis, one of those situations would be if they were potentially schizophrenic, right? They had mental issues, they had depression. Like being in a deeper state of ketosis for that individual might be very, very beneficial from a mental standpoint. But if they were doing it
How
for
do you
another
know?
reason, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, sorry. I get all these buzzy things in my head, which are like I'm trying to nitpick what you say, not
Hmm.
because it's you and I think I want to prove you wrong or say what you say is wrong. I want to know exactly what's going on. You know. So my
Hmm.
thought there is, okay, you got schizophrenic people with all these like mental health condition disorders, whatever you want to call it. Deeper ketosis, more healing, better mood, better scores, maybe pain scores. I don't know as well. Um, the problem is it the fact of that them getting into ketosis? Is it they're eating a low carbohydrate diet and other metabolic processes are happening? Is it that they've got less leaky gut because they're not eating by default as many foods because there's no
Hmm.
carbohydrates in the diet? Is it because there's actual microbiome and brain inflammatory reducing compounds within an elevated ketone diet.
Yeah.
That's where I have the problem. So I'd say, yeah, you put someone on a keto diet, there's going to be more healing in that regard. But my concern, maybe not to you, but just in general, is to what degree is that beneficial? And also, is it the same for everyone? Is there a cutoff point, like a diminishing returns kind of curve? Then also, what is the methodology used to track these things?
Yeah.
Is it the reduction of leaky gut, intestinal permeability, because they're eating less foods? Is it the fact that they've got a fat-fueled body rather than a... Is it that we need to be measuring the fat in the body and not this? So my thing is, like, we have this number, we're trying to detract from it by finding other numbers to try and point in one direction, when really we just need to be sort of looking at one or two things and tracking the things which are most, should I say, consistent.
Yeah.
By, valid, reliable, and repeatable, reproducible data.
Yep.
But yeah, sorry, carry on. I just had that thought there.
No. I do not disagree with you at all. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a ton of sense, right? A lot of this is going to be individual. But again, I go back to, what are you specifically getting into, like, a deep state of ketosis for, right? Like, what are you trying to ultimately heal? But I think there's a lot of things that go, all the things that you just rattled off, they matter, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get to the chat now. I think it's all kicking off. All the Americans have come on. I'm gonna go. Sorry if this is a bit disjointed, guys, but I'm gonna go for it in the order that they popped up, at least on my screen, just because it is, first come first serve sort of thing. So kind of covered that question. This one always comes up at the top, so super chats are prioritized. And cheers, David. So thanks very much for the advice yesterday about eating leaner. Yeah, like Max said at the start of this podcast, the leaner we eat, the leaner we get. The problem is, how far down do we go in fat intake that doesn't destroy our sleep and recovery? So think of the body as like
or hormones,
a jug.
or hormones, yeah,
hormones. Think of, like, we've got the jug on the beach. That's going to have in and out process. So this is the body. We're the jug. Too much food going in, too much being stored in that jug. Now, if we put too little in that jug, our body will not function optimally. Now, on the other side, you can say, the clouds are going by. These are things that are different sizes, different shapes, different colors, maybe different heights from the ground, different altitudes. So different things which kind of alter the terrain of our body, so the environment of our body. You got to think of it that way. So there might be a rainbow. That might be, I don't know, oxytocin or something. You might have dopamine, which is like a sunny ray or something. You got to think of the body in that sense, that these things are always changing around you, and you're the terrain, you're the environment, you're the one sort of hosting what's going on around you. But you can't always control everything around you environmentally. Maybe there's mold, maybe you have to move out of your home and change where you live. I don't know, maybe that's something you can't do. You can't change it, but you can change what you put in your body, in your mouth. I think for most people, I imagine so, at least in the Western world. So you know what I mean? So we have to look at the things we can alter and that. But I appreciate that, and hopefully it stays useful to you. A question from David now. So I am 5'6", 107 kilos. I'm currently obese. My goal is to get as lean and shredded as possible while following a carnivore diet. You mentioned that people who want to get shredded should eat lean. And right now I am eating 145 grams of protein, 115 grams of fat per day, which works out to about 36% of energy from fat and 64 from protein, 0 carbs, and something about calories. David, watch my YouTube channel on the playlist. Go to calories in, calories out. Within probably 5 minutes of watching that, you'll stop telling me about calories. It's a waste of time.
I would love, so real quick, just so we can convert this. So he's 5'6", and he's roughly, what, 220 pounds then? That's what that would come out to?
107, so yeah, 220-ish?
235.
Yeah. So he's a heavy guy at 5'6" by his own profession.
Yeah. And now right now, so he's eating 145 grams of protein, 150 grams of fat. I mean, right when I see those numbers, take the calories aside, right? When I see those numbers, I would be interested to know how long has he eaten that? David, if you want to write in the chat, how long have you eaten like that? Because when I see a ratio like that, you should be losing weight. And if you've eaten like this for a certain amount of time, how much weight have you lost? I would be interested to know that, and then what you're trying to get to, because
It's
if
the
you
A, B,
potentially
and C formula. Yeah.
exactly, because if David were to write like right now in the chat, I've lost 50 pounds, but I'm stalling out, those numbers are going to have to change, right?
He may need it's unlikely at his body weight, but he may need to do like a leptin reset protocol, or a reverse dieting protocol. I'm
Yeah.
making 2 videos coming up soon, over the next week or 2 probably, specifically talking about thyroid health, but the proper way, like the scientifically proven way to increase your thyroid hormone output, and that will be scientifically referenced for, obviously. I'm doing another one on the reverse diet process. So it might be that some people have been dieting so long, their net energy activity thermogenesis, so they're walking around, just playing around, just twiddling their thumbs, sort of energy expenditure is too low because they've slowed down the metabolic rate. And that will teach you how to bring it back up in a very sort of sensible manner without getting fat. So that's what I'll probably suggest. But in terms of the macros, I mean, he's not eating a lot, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I mean, he's eating to lose weight. I mean, that's what I see when I
Yeah,
look at that. Like he should be losing weight for sure. But I'd
yeah.
be interested to know, like, is he stalled out for someone with a lot of body fat to lose? I don't know. I mean, you could try it. It just depends on where you're at. Like David, if you were to say, like, I'm eating this way, but I've stalled out and I haven't lost any weight for 2 or 3 weeks, then I would say you might have to potentially go leaner for a specific period of time. But like Jonathan was saying, that's when you can also incorporate something like a reverse diet, shock the system and then go back. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
David, I'd book in for a consult with myself, and
yeah,
we'll speak to Max, try and book in with him sometime, because to unpack this, I'll be needing to know a lot of information.
yeah,
It's gonna take like an hour just to get through most of it, to be honest. But yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'd suggest. But yeah, we've got 2 ways of tackling it: either eat less if something happens, or alternatively, do a reverse diet. The third option, which is probably unlikely in my opinion, you feel free to disagree, but he may have just got the whoosh effect about to come. So he might follow this protocol for another 3, 4, 5 days. He drops 6 pounds out of nowhere. So sometimes the body will, the testosterone will kick up. The body will hold more water, more
Yep.
inflammation. Maybe his guts are bad that week and he's had some sort of electrolyte issue, but he's not really spotted it, sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe that's affected it. So there's lots of avenues to look down. But yeah, I mean, I'd give it another few days, I think, just to be sure. I think once you've gone past 3 or 4 weeks of dieting and nothing's happened, I'd be concerned personally.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
yeah. Next one. So it's from CB Carmack. Very lovely. He's a sheriff, policeman.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. So before I knew what I know now, I dropped 30 pounds and my HbA1c went from 10.1 to 6.7 just eating the low glycemic diet with beans in substitute for starchy veg. Discovered carnivore and it fell off prior to it. Brilliant. A message from Kimberly. So I agree with Jonathan. There's more to it than just ketosis when it comes to healing someone. It's a lot more involvement. The problem is people talk about, high fat. Max, you must have heard this. You eat high fat carnivore for healing.
Mm-hmm.
You watch these birds saying this crap, and you're like, why? Why is it healing? It's like a buzzword.
Yeah.
Like if I tell you, oh yeah, we're going to make some crazy gains, it's like, yeah, we might gain half a pound each month for the next three months. It's not really crazy
healing?
gains.
Yeah. Well, how's that healing too? Like it kind of reminds me of, so I've had Maria Emmerich and Craig Emmerich on. I love those people. I've also had like Dr. Kiltz on too, and he's all about the fat. But it's like they said something to me that I thought was interesting, because they get a lot of people that come to them for coaching from the high fat carnivore space that are gaining weight.
It's true.
And if you're like an already over fat person and you're working with someone and they're implementing a high fat carnivore diet and you are gaining weight when you're already over fat, you are technically not healing. I wouldn't say you're healing, right? So,
well, if you're healed, if your body is in danger,
and what does that even mean? And what does that even mean?
Because you're obese.
To your point. Yeah.
Max, if you're morbidly obese and your joints hurt, you're inflamed, you've got on all these different meds, pain meds, psych meds, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm obese. Okay, Well, that's probably the biggest marker of your life success. I mean, you put two people next to each other, it's human nature. You say, right, we've got these two people in a room. You don't know anything about them. They're both equal in terms of like natural attraction. One of them is 400 pounds. The other one is 150 pounds. You know, females maybe. who you gonna go to?
Yeah,
It's human nature.
It's human nature.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
You can't fight it. It's yeah. It's just I mean, that's just the subjective side, not the personal side where you sort of think, oh, this is how I look, sort of thing. Yeah, it does wind me up big time, but I'm at least like grateful to have a platform for someone like yourself to share this information, because the amount of times we hear this stuff. I mean, Maria and I remember his name. I do remember his name. Yeah, Craig Emmerich. Yeah, I think they're brilliant at what they do. Over the years, I've been watching for a long time. I think their content is top notch in terms of fat loss. I mean, I'm not gonna neg the lady, but she is underweight or very slim or skinny, I guess you'd say. I think she's trying to gain weight currently.
She is.
But you sort of listen, like, well, she's obviously done it. She stays lean all the time. So even if you don't take it to that extreme, at least you can say her sort of methodology, the high protein, low fat, seems to work better. But
I mean, if the goal, right? If the goal is to become a leaner human being, where my mind, let's say everything else is fine, right? Hormones, blood markers, everything is fine. Okay. And the goal is just to become a leaner human being. I would say increase your protein, decrease your fat. If you're eating like a low carb or zero carb diet, the easiest way to do that would be to increase your protein, which increases the time between your feeding windows because you're full, you're satiated.
Satiety.
The higher the protein, the fuller you're going to be. Decrease the fat just a little bit, not too much because you don't want to wreck your hormones, but that will help you get leaner if that is the goal and everything else is fine.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's it does work, and I mean, the thing is, you got to be careful. You have to be very specific about your goals.
Yes.
I mean, if I said to Max, I'm going to get you as lean as possible in the next 4 weeks, he's not going to be dropping 20 pounds in 4 weeks. Maybe 10 if I really pushed it hard, sort of thing. But we know beyond that point, okay, we need to stop. We give it a time measured goal, so 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I said the most we probably want to lose is about 10 pounds. Then we stop. But some people, they have to fight. The problem is they get to the diet and they realize the diet has helped them to up to a point. But then how do you come out of that? That's the key part, which people don't think about. If you put your body under a lot of stress, the metabolic rate will lower slightly over time. But you can bring it out. The thing is just cycling around with your diet based on appetite. That's why our ancestors probably didn't really get fat over the summer and get skinny over the winter, but in like weird sort of time frames. And you know how people nowadays are like, oh, I gained 5 pounds this week, I'll drop 5 pounds this week.
Yeah.
So like that. Our ancestors are probably about stable because they ate a natural diet.
Well, and when you think about it, think about it like this. They weren't throwing slabs of butter or tallow on their ribeye steak. They were naturally eating the animal as it came to them. So again, if you are eating a carnivore diet and you are either gaining weight or not losing any fat, you're probably just adding too much fat into the diet. Eat the animal as it comes. Throw the ribeye in the pan or on the grill, however you cook, and just eat the animal. Don't add like the butter to it. You'll lean out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally that simple. Here's the bottleneck. So we found the problem, which he has not realized yet, but I'm talking about it because I'm as if I'm Captain Hindsight. So basically for 2 weeks before that, he was doing 200 grams of fat. So he wasn't doing 115 grams of fat. Okay. So he hasn't been dieting to that degree for 3 weeks.
So he just dropped the fat. He just dropped
the fat like a week ago or something. Yeah. You see what I mean? So you have to be mindful of what you're doing now and what you're doing a week, 2-3 weeks ago. So in the contest prep, I know I'm going to end up eating less over time. Fine, that's a given. But then you think, okay, well, if I've gone from there to there to there, so every 2 weeks I'm sort of spot checking how much I'm eating, then 1 week I've just said, screw it, I'm upping fat by 40 grams a day. But say I'm not cognizant of that, how am I going to know where I am and where I'm going? You know, how am I going to know I'm on track? So that's my perspective. Have we got another question? How much time do you have left? We've got a hard cut off today, haven't we?
No, I'm good. I can keep going if you got more questions.
Okay, we'll do a couple more, then we'll chat maybe 5 or 10 minutes after.
Sure.
I don't know who John is. It's my dead grandfather's name. Thank you very much. Not my name. I have a question. How can I find out what percentage of body fat I am still very overweight? I wouldn't worry. I'd not care. When you're 330 pounds, you should not be worrying about what body fat percentage you are. What you're going to be focused on is how you feel, how you look in the mirror. They're going to be better measures. When you have that much excess body weight, by the sounds of it, given your height and weight, height and age and weight sort of thing, what you're going to be thinking is you're going to be going up and down in weights all the time. So today you measured at 70% body fat. Tomorrow you could measure at 65, just because you're more hydrated, you had a bit more salt, a bit less salt, you peed more in the night, stuff like that. So you know that the weight should be something you're measuring daily with a trend, so you got enough data points to go by, like an average. Other than that, you want to be looking in the mirror and stepping on a scale.
Well, and I would also
percentages.
Yeah, and well, first off, Patricia, good job, right? I mean,
Yeah.
she went from 330 to 247. That's pretty awesome. You're 5'2" and you're 78 years old. You eat carnivore, but she says, "I am hungry." I mean, that could be a simple situation of you've done a lot, you're doing really good, you've lost some weight, but you're not at where you want to be at quite yet. That could be a situation of I personally, what I would do is add more lean protein in. Like if you're eating I would add more lean protein into the diet, because again, if you add in some, and this could be like ground chicken, ground turkey, chicken breast, whatever the case is, like add more lean protein into your meals. That will satisfy the hunger. Like it will be hard. It's very difficult to overeat protein. I always say protein is the satiating macronutrient. Fat is the satisfying one. Yes, we get our fat from our energy, but you've got energy on your frame right now, Patricia. I would increase the amount of lean protein you're eating per meal. It'll probably be difficult for you to finish your meals, but you will stay fuller longer, right? And that's what I was saying at the very beginning of the podcast. Like you've got you've got tons of energy on your frame, Patricia, that your body can use. You could even decrease the fat a little bit, increase the protein. You will be satiated. It will be harder for you to overeat, and it'll satisfy those hunger signals that you got if you're still hungry eating carnivore. That's what I would do.
Solid. Yeah, I could not have said it better myself. I didn't read the bit at the end when she said about her being hungry. Otherwise, I would have suggested that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've tried it myself. I've eaten, I think for a span of time, the most I've eaten so far is 500 grams of protein a day. So you're never hungry. Trust me. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You look at meat and you're not really you're not deterred from it, but you chew food, you're like, you just bottom out sort of thing.
And that's what I was saying.
Anyway,
that's what I was saying.
I didn't gain fat.
Yeah.
Zero. I got leaner. I got leaner doing it.
Yeah. And Patricia, I don't know if you were watching from the beginning, but what I was saying was, I'm trying to gain weight. I'm trying to add some more mass to my frame. I'm trying to increase my strength numbers in the gym. I have to eat more. The problem I have, right, just because of how my diet is constructed, so I've got to change some things around. I have a problem eating more because I tilt towards carnivore. That's how I'm eating right now. It's hard for me to put down food because my protein is high, so it's like, I've got to find a way to eat more food if I want to accomplish the goals that I'm trying to accomplish. So it's funny, we have completely different goals here, but what we've got to now do is you and I are just pulling back two different levers. That's basically what we're doing,
Could not have said it better myself.
Yeah.
I love it when someone agrees with me. It's great. I'm being a bit cocky today, guys. Yeah, like it goes back to the work from Ted Naiman with the protein energy diet. That's and he interviewed some people and they looked at insects. They're like wondering, also they're different animals to us, but how much protein in their diet how much of their diet should be constituted of protein? And they said about 40% of the calories.
Mm-hmm.
That maxed out satiety, so they would not overeat or overfeed, even in a situation where they had all the food they want. They then tested that on humans, not in a scientific study, but in a setting where they can sort of say these are the input from the apps. This is what come out, sort of thing. And they found, it's about 40%. So people out there who happen to be using calories and percentages, say you're eating 2,000 calories a day, make it so 40% of them will come from protein, 60 from fat. Generally, that works out about 1-to-1 protein to fat ratio, roughly. And that's about the satiety point we want to be hitting. The way that changes, though, is if someone is either very sedentary or they're very active, in which case the fat will go up exponentially. So,
Yes.
there's obviously nuance to it. But yeah, the protein is the key. We'll do one or two more questions now. So, what if Max has any has an idea what is impossible for me to gain weight no matter how much I eat? Well, he's 6'7", so it probably takes about a year to get from one end to the other. So.
Oh my God, I was about to ask, like, where are you at, right?
Yeah.
What's this gentleman's name?
Rick. He's a slim,
Rick.
very tall gentleman. Very slim, tall gentleman. Yeah.
Very slim. So I wonder if Max has any idea why it's impossible for me to gain weight no matter how much I eat. Interesting. So I would love to know, like, where his weight is at right now. It sounds like he's slim. He's very tall. He's trying to gain weight. I mean, it could just be a situation of, Rick, that's a great question. The first thing that comes to my mind is I probably want to know a couple other things, like what exactly are you eating, right? Because that can kind of tell me, right, if you're eating tons of lean protein, right? Like let's say
he cooks in fat like all day.
Really?
He's
eating a high fat carnivore diet.
Very
basically.
high fat, like he's like drinking it near enough in his food.
Jesus, that's interesting. And this
very
is
active though, very active. Cycling every day, working out in the yard in the heat,
Well, if the goal is to gain weight, I would still like to see how much and how frequently he's eating right now. Because, like,
3 meals a day. 3 meals a day, about 4 pounds, a cup of dairy, and sometimes eggs or sometimes bacon.
And he still can't gain weight. Wow.
He eats a lot of food. Yeah, like a good amount of food. Yeah.
That's crazy interesting.
It would surprise you to see how much. Yeah.
That's crazy, and he still can't gain weight.
Well, it's 4 to 6 pounds today. Okay. Yeah, but he does eat a lot. I've seen him eat.
Jesus Christ! See, this is what's so interesting about all this. Like, we're all completely different. I mean, where my mind goes is like, yeah, he says eats 4 to 6 pounds of meat, six eggs, cup of yogurt, 4 ox cheese daily. Yeah, 4 to 6 pounds of meat. Where my mind would go to is that if you're adding in fat, which it sounds like he is, what type of meat is it? Like, are you eating fatty cuts? Ribeye, 195 pounds. I'm 58 years old.
He doesn't eat many ribeyes. He's not got the most amount of income, neither do I. But makes like ground beef, chicken thighs. But the sort of the cheaper cuts of things, generally speaking.
195 pounds, 58 years old, and he's, what'd you say, 6'7"?
Something like that, yeah.
Damn, that's wild. That is wild.
Yeah, you've got to interview him. He's great fun.
Yeah,
he's
that's crazy.
One of my best friends on YouTube.
Very cool.
That is on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we would have to know some other specifics. Deep fried chicken and iguana and lard.
You're gonna love him, Max. Honestly.
How does the iguana taste, man? That's it. That's interesting.
He likes it.
Iguanas and duck. That's wild. That's funny.
Yeah.
Call it the heart attack diet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So CB is, I'm going to just rush through the next ones unless there's questions, but CB's basically said that, my brain's gone behind. Basically, like, when people start carnivore, try to eat more fat than just eat chicken breast. I can agree with that, because I did the same. I ate too lean when I started. I fell off the wagon probably more times than I should have done with like binges, because I just wasn't supplying enough fat. And I think in hindsight, with no imminent rush to lose body fat or any sort of weird condition I wanted to sort of change or alter, I can say, yeah, I wish I started carnivore, enough protein with enough fat, but maybe the fat just a little bit higher. So,
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like when he says the Frankenfood, right? You got to get the processed food out of the diet. Like, that's like, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to. Like, if there was one thing they had to do, it's like one thing they had to remove from the diet. It's not necessarily like the fruits, the vegetables, and the seed oils. It's all honestly processed food. Just get that shit out of your diet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to imagine how someone's morbidly obese think of it experiencing when they also desperate to change or improve in the beginning. Chronic elevation of cortisol, sugar, fat may be a tool. Yeah, like Max said earlier, I mean, people in contest preparations, 6-7 meals a day, still hungry. Me, 4 meals per day, virtually never hungry at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've done it both ways for a long time. I've done it for years and both methods. The carnivore way is better. I can say that for myself, given my recent pro recognition. But outside of that, I mean, I couldn't say someone is a greater open class, larger bodybuilder than me. Maybe that isn't possible in a carnivore diet because of the satiety factor. I don't know. But that's until someone tries it, we're not going to know. So my anecdote's probably the best in that regard in terms of like extremes. Look here, got Kurt. So good morning, my brother from another mother. Added lean meat for me is not satiating at all, which is good. Arguments to individual consults. Yeah. For something. Yeah. Get in touch with Meal Max. We both got our stuff. So after the fact, I'll put Max's links below in the description as well. You can probably find them through there.
And just so
great Instagram page as well.
Just so everybody knows, so I don't coach any clients. Like I don't. So if you want to get in touch with someone for coaching, get in touch with Jonathan. I don't have the time, in all honesty, to coach clients. Like I have 2 jobs. I work a job and I do the podcast. With the podcast, my goal is really what I'm trying to do with the podcast is make the best content I possibly can to help people. Like maybe down the line, I might do coaching, but like, I just don't, I used to own a gym and coach clients. I just don't have the time to do it anymore. If you DM me questions, I'll 100% help you out. I just don't have the time to like take on a client. You know what I mean? Go to Jonathan if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, risk that, guys, definitely. Yeah, cheers for that. Yeah, I mean, Max has so much good content on YouTube anyway. Just go through his videos. You'll find pretty much anyone in our space has been interviewed by Max at this point.
Yeah.
I'll eat more lean protein, thank you. Yeah, like Max said, just go back in the video if you want to rehash the points, but just take it steady. But you know, just alter the protein fact just a little bit.
Yeah.
When you have 2 pats of butter, have 1. When you have 1 chicken breast, have 1 and a bit.
Yeah.
You know, keep it simple.
Yeah.
I've been given 10 golden coins. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I think we've got through the chat now. One question from Kurt. So I'm eating 6'1", 240 pounds, eating 18 to 21 eggs a day, swimming in Talia, or 3 to 4 pounds of ribeye a day, or 5-foot heart attack, vegan but can't lose weight. Because you're eating too much food. I think this is quite obvious by this point in the podcast. Yeah. We've said it 3 times. He also knows this from the other podcast yesterday.
Is 18 to 21 eggs? He doesn't say a day, but if that's a day and it's swimming in tallow or 3 to 4 pounds of ribeye, 5 pounds of heart attack chicken, but can't lose weight. Yeah, you just said it. It's too much fat.
Just said it. It's the swimming in tallow.
Yeah.
Do exactly what you're doing now. Do exactly what you're doing now, but make it so it's not swimming. It's like paddling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I think he knows what he's doing, but yeah.
100%. Well, 3 to 4 pounds of ribeye a day, even if you were to just switch that out from not all of it, like take that. So you've got 4 pounds of ribeye, right? Have 2 pounds from a leaner cut, like a New York strip, 2 pounds from ribeye. I guarantee you the fat will start moving in a positive direction. Like the body fat will start moving in a positive direction. Something as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. Keep it really simple, like that. You can't go too wrong.
You know what? Just really quick, Jonathan. I wanted to throw another tip out there because he was saying he was eating a lot of eggs. You know what I do? I mix and match meat. So like if I'm trying to like stay lean or get leaner, so I'll take fatty ground beef and I'll mix it with I'll mix it with chicken breast. So I'll mix ground beef and chicken breast together. Like I'll dice up the chicken, throw it in with the ground beef, and I'll eat that together. So I'll increase my protein to fat ratio. It'll naturally be a higher protein, but I'll keep the fat from the ground beef at a certain level. So it's almost like a 2-to-1 protein to fat ratio. Another thing I do too is I'll throw chicken breast into the egg. So if I'm scrambling up 6, 7, 8 eggs, I'll dice up a chicken breast and throw it in there just to increase the protein. This goes back to what you were saying, the Ted Naiman, protein to energy. Basically what I'm doing is I'm eating at a 2-to-1 protein to fat ratio. So that's another way you can just technically eat a little bit leaner, get more protein in, stay full longer. That's what I do.
So simple. Yeah. That'd be very effective. Yeah, we're going to do one last question from Barbara, Grandma Crochet Corners channel, and then one last statement from Kimberly. So this question's about fat loss. So she's a 65-year-old lady. Last year she's over 400 pounds. She's down to 262. She's doing a carnivore diet, very sort of normal foods. I know what she eats, sort of thing. So the meat, fish, eggs, sardines. She wants to know how she should lose weight, and she's looking at the Dr. Boz ratio. Where would you start with this? Just assuming you just had this baseline information.
I know someone said the Dr. Boz ratio earlier. What was that again? It was
the blood glucose divided by the ketone level.
Yeah. Eat mostly fish, sardines, eggs mostly. Eggs mostly. Okay. So if it's eggs mostly, which is not a bad thing, eggs are the best, but in an egg, it's 6 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat, if I believe that's in an egg. How should I eat to lose weight? I mean, curious of thoughts. What goes to my mind is, again, kind of like what we've been talking about, like introduce more protein, leaner cuts of protein. So again, if it's mostly eggs, throw in some chicken breast with the scrambled eggs, throw in some lean ground beef with the scrambled eggs, throw in some lean, like New York strip steak with the scrambled eggs, right? You're just increasing your protein without adding a lot of fat, but it's still going to be a very satiating meal. That's what I would do, right? Like all the things you're eating are good, mostly fish, sardines, fantastic. That's great. But add in some more lean protein into the meals. That will help to increase the satiation. That will keep you full. And I bet you'll see the body fat move in the direction that you want it to.
Yeah, I think that's it. So I know her personally in terms of like online and what she eats, how she does things. She's not a lady short of effort. I'll say that much. It's not that doesn't know what she's doing. She knows what she needs to do because she's lost 40 pounds.
That's amazing.
She has an idea of what's going on. She knows how to get there, which also knows how to come back. Personally, Barbara, if I was in your body and it was me making all the decisions, I would pie off, which means get rid of the fasting, the individual foods, the focus on meal timing. I would also add in some bit more activity. So the exercise, I think you're adding someone in right now anyway of your current sort of regime. So some band work, some resistance training with push-ups, pull-ups. Find a way to do it that's easier for you, make it more suitable for you as a person. Then I'd actually start tracking things, or at least having an idea of what you're eating each day. And do the same thing for a good 2 weeks straight span. Which means no fasting, no sardine fasting, no dry, no water fasting. No, I'm eating at this time each day. Just let your body fall naturally into the amount of meals that you have. So it's either 1 or 2 for you, from what I know. So just let it happen. If you're hungry at 10, have a meal at 10. If you're not hungry again until 7, eat at 7. Don't try and override what your body's doing naturally, because you won't get the best result from it. The body also doesn't want to be 260 pounds. So if you go away from that in terms of what you're doing naturally, what your instincts will tell you outside of this air bubble we live in, then yeah, you're going to find your body's going to be more aligned to be a not 262 pound person. So 180, 200, whatever you want to be. Next point is stick to foods which are high satiety and high nutrition, like Max said. So, I mean, ideally, you want cuts of meat that are going to keep you satiated. So maybe a lean steak, so a whole steak, rather than ground beef. That's going to be quite not pre-digested, but it's ground up. You're going to be spooning it in before you know it's gone. Whereas if you have to cut the steak, it takes longer. You hit a better signal.
That's a great point.
They just choose the same meat every single day, so the same, at least from the same shop, the same sort of cut of meat. So if it's a sirloin, have a sirloin every day. Then you might have 2 or 3 eggs every day. If you think, oh, you finish your eggs, and you know what? I think I could have some more actually. I could have a 4th egg. So what you do is then you don't change the protocol. Then you have a bit less steak. You have the 4th egg. Oh, now I've had too much steak. I was chewing that and it's annoying me and my teeth, my gums. Now I've got more egg. So go by gravity, by what pulls you in. And obviously, if you put like a stick of butter on the table, you can eat that raw, like me. And that draws you in. You know you're making a mistake there because that's just fat. You're eating extra fat to go on your body. So just pick real meat as it comes, sort of thing. And also keep in like variety as well, so you're not getting bored of the same thing. You may be good at that. Some people aren't, so you have to go by your own sort of psyche. So you might say, I like 1 can of sardines today, 4 eggs, and a steak. You do that for a week straight. Look at the scale. Oh, what do you know? I've not had to do 1 meal a day this week. I've not had to do fasting this week. I've not had to not eat at all this week, or all these funny little extra things which don't really add up to much difference at all. You're just eating the same thing. You found what works for you. And say you drop 2 pounds that week. Brilliant. That's your goal. You're on point to reach a certain goal by a certain time. Say 10 weeks down the line, you want to lose 20 pounds total. So 2 pounds every single, boom, 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 boom. When that 2 pounds drops to say 1 or 0, or nothing happens at all, okay, maybe you need to change it. So maybe you eat a bit more lean meat again, a bit less egg. So maybe it's 3 eggs, or even 2 eggs, but then more lean steak. And you do that for another week. Boom, boom, boom. You just keep doing that. So you keep cycling things around. So you never actually really have to change the actual volume of the food that you're eating each day, like the mass of it. Obviously, because animal foods tend to be about the same dry weight anyway, but if you took all the moisture out ish. But it means you're not really changing the mass of your food, but you're just changing the selection.
Yeah.
You're altering, as Max really well pointed well out, the high protein, less fat. So if you're having more of the fatty cheddar, well, mozzarella's got a bit less fat in it, a bit less in it. So maybe swap that out. You just make these little micro changes each week and do that over a span of 7 days, see the effects. That's how you got to do it. It's a sustainable way of doing it as well, I'd argue, because you're not doing anything drastic. You're not changing your body's own natural signals. You're eating the foods you like and you tolerate and that you feel good eating. So yeah, it sort of ticks a lot of boxes. I don't know why anyone would do any different. And weight loss is not always transient. So if you're doing a fast 1 day a week and you're doing this and that, it's on a different day each week, or you've cut out coffee for a week for some reason, you're never going to know what you're doing because there's no consistency. So it's not I'm saying you're inconsistent, and I know why trying each thing is trying to use different tools to get a certain goal. But what gets you to a goal is doing the same thing over and over again, working hard, be disciplined, concentrating on just doing the same damn thing. When it stops working, then you make the change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
100%.
That's my rant. But
no, that's good,
like
man.
I said, she does work really hard. She's not a slacker.
Yeah, that's awesome. And good job. Like, I mean, she's lost a ton of weight. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So this is the last comment of the day. So this is from Kimberly. I've not suggested to those that intermittent fast, you can overdo fasting. Your body will eventually adapt. No longer works. Yeah, I mean,
agree.
Like
Totally.
any hormetic stress, there's an adaptation to it. If you can do 10 minutes of cold plunging a week, okay, great, you'll get a benefit. Then that benefit will start to wear off over time. Eventually, it will wear off. Your body's become innately in tune with that experience.
Yeah.
The stress it causes, the hormetic pressure does not keep going up. So there's a fine limit of things you might cycle it in, or you might do it more infrequently, but at a higher amount of time. So.
And
Yeah.
real quick here, like on that one too, we were talking about this earlier. What is the body trying to do at the end of the day? It's trying to seek homeostasis, right? So your body is basically striving, no matter what it is that you're doing, your body is striving to adapt to that, right? So the simplest thing you can do is change up the frequency, the the frequency or the time in which you are doing like intermittent fasting, change up the eating window, switch it up on the body, keep the body guessing, right? Like switch up the day, switch out the amount of time. You can do something as simple as that and get a better effect just by switching up like when you do the fast, right? Because your body is basically trying to get used to exactly what you're doing. Switch it up on the body, you'll see. And if the goal is weight loss, right, then you'll see the needle move in the direction that you want it to move.
Exactly it. Yeah, you just got to get towards the goal.
Yeah.
And cut out the influence stuff online, because these people aren't working with real people that are achieving much. Hence why they have the group. Hence why they're spending their hard-earned money to get out of a pit. But they just a lot of the time they end up staying in the pit because they don't have that personalized approach. So you can get that from me, obviously, through my coaching, or you can just watch my content, watch Max's content. Max had some incredible people on, really knowledgeable people, you know, the Emmerichs, for example. You know, if you don't like what I've got to say about fat loss, then listen to them. They say about the same thing, but it damn works. They've written books on it, and they're internationally acclaimed for it. So
yeah. We had Dr. Don Layman on the podcast. He was good. You know, he's probably the top protein researcher in the world, man. He was great. He dropped knowledge on that. Yeah, he dropped knowledge. And I was asking him questions in regards to like when to get in the protein, you know, like, you know, the myth, like you got a window, which I don't know if it's necessarily a myth. I think there is a component to that. But basically what he was saying is like, you know, you heard the myth, get your protein in 30 minutes after you work out. Like you have a
window. Yeah,
the anabolic window. And what he was basically saying was, if you're untrained, there is certainly some truth to that. Like if you're starting out, there is certainly some truth. But as you become a more trained individual, really what you want to focus on is your daily protein goals. I thought that was really interesting. But he was good. He was a good guest.
Yeah, I have some dream interviews I'd love to do out there. Fred Hahn, Doug McGuff, the guy you just said, I think Don Layman.
Yeah.
Ted Naiman. I'm not much of a fan of him anymore. I would love to speak with Ted Naiman, just because I have my own ideas about things which would push things to the extreme a bit.
I had him on. Yeah. He came on. Yeah.
Recently.
Not recent. Within.
I'll check it.
About a year ago, he was on. Maybe a little bit longer than a year ago.
I'll look for that and download it today. I'll definitely watch that. Thanks for joining, Jerry. I think you're off now, but thank you very much for joining. Glad we were able to answer your question.
Take care, Jerry.
And this is the lovely Jo. She's both your channels are brilliant. I didn't pay her to say that. Full of fantastic insights and information for those wanting to improve our health. Yeah, I mean, we've covered a lot today, haven't we? We've done
this was good.
Satiety, nutrition, goal setting, a bit about training.
Yeah.
A little bit like biohacky sort of recovery stuff, not that much. Yeah, that's been a great chat. But we'll do more of these definitely in the future. And if you did like this video, guys, after the fact, leave a comment below my channel and also subscribe to Max's and also check out his stuff as well. We've got loads on there. All right, take care, guys. I live with a condition called CRPS, which is the most painful condition known to man, and also suffer with autism and chronic fatigue syndrome. I've been having a hard time recently. I'm reaching out for help. If anyone is able to support me, it'd be much appreciated. And it is for a Give, Send, Go link, which I'll link below this video. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of this clip.